you all for being here today. We thank the Leahy Fast for Palestine Committee and Demilitarize Western Mass for putting on this rally and march today. We're all here gathered because we all are outraged, disgusted that the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu is coming to speak in our Congress today, in the capital of our country. We're really outraged by that. We're not alone. This is also happening in our capital, where there is a mobilization to surround the Capitol, to create a red line at the Capitol, and to arrest Netanyahu. We're not alone because there were 230 congressional staffers who wrote a public letter asking that he not speak. We're not alone. There are at least 12 administration resignations because of what's happening in Gaza. We're not alone because there are 7 major unions who are against funding Israel. We must keep this up. We must stop the slaughter, the genocide. We must stand together. Some of us have felt exhilaration because of the stepping down of Joe Biden and the stepping forward of Kamala Harris. Some people feel uplifted by that. We need to not be fooled by that. Biden plans to be in office for another 6 months. We must keep the pressure on him. We must continue to speak out. And we must do the same with Kamala Harris. And all. So thank you for being here in solidarity with all of us and all of them. We will not stop. We will not be silent. Our first speaker today. So, is there anyone here from another group that's representing their group that would like to just let us know they're here? Shout it out. JVP. JVP, amen. East Hampton for a ceasefire. DSA, River Valley DSA. Palestine Solidarity Caucus at UMass. Yeah. We're going to talk about UMass at the end here too. Okay, so Peter's now, Keiko's.
Massachusetts Peace Action.
MAPA, Mass Peace Action. I think I saw some Code Pink people here. Code Pink. Cox Christie. Franklin County Justice for Palestine. Yay. We got it covered, right? Yeah. Western Mass Coalition for Palestine. Okay, great. All right, so now Peter Keikos, retired Reverend Peter, or not retired, Reverend Peter Keikos. Yeah. A co-founder of the Leahy Fast for Palestine is going to lead us in a moment of silence and have a few words to say.
Thank you, everyone. You are beautiful to look at from this point of view, I must tell you. You strengthen the hearts of those that bleed emotionally, spiritually, as well as mentally. I thought of a little chant for us to begin, just a little presentation here, and it goes like this. Netanyahu, you can't hide, you're committing genocide. Netanyahu, you can't hide, you're committing genocide. Joe Biden, you can't hide, you're abetting abetting genocide. Joe Biden, you can't hide. You're abetting genocide. Thank you. In an anti-war number about the senseless horrors of Vietnam, Bob Dylan wrote this refrain, and you don't count the dead when God's on your side. Mr. Netanyahu, God will never be on your side, will never be for genocide. How do I know this? It says so in your book of Genesis. It tells us that the first crime was the murder of Adam and Eve's son Abel by his brother Cain out of a fit of jealousy. The story goes on with God confronting him. What have you done? The blood of your brother cries out to me from the earth. The blood of your brother. This shows us plain as day that each and every murder is carried out by one family member against another. Each one our sister, our mother, our child. God sees the profound worth of every soul. God deplores every single act of dehumanizing malice. Benjamin Netanyahu, on behalf of God the Compassionate, I accuse you of murdering your human family on an inhuman scale, now numbering in the hundreds of thousands, according to the British Journal of Medicine, The Lancet. And given the further hellish conditions to which you have subjected your Palestinian family, unless immediately remedied, there will be blood of up to 2 million of your relatives on your hands, heart, and soul. Secondly, Joe Biden, I accuse you of aiding and abetting Israel with billions for weapons, bullets, and bombs, virtually all made in our nation, granting disgraceful war profiteering on a massive scale, even now racing headlong toward the outright annihilation of our Palestinian family, their sea of blood filling the universe with a never-ending wave of weeping, gnashing of teeth, screams, mothers refusing to be consoled. A slaughter of the innocents of biblical proportions. Therefore, alongside the International Court of Justice, I arrest you both in the name of the one who has every child in her hands. Amen? Amen. Knowing each by name, like 11-year-old Hind and 14-year-old Mohammed. Take a moment to get to know the horrific circumstances of your children's deaths. We order your arrests and incarceration without bail until trial, seeing what a terrifying menace you are to our global society, to the one human race. Netanyahu, you can't hide. You're committing genocide. Netanyahu, you can't hide. You're committing genocide. Joe Biden, you can't hide. You're abetting genocide. Joe Biden, you can't hide. You're abetting genocide. Thank you.
So now we're going to invite Ben Grosscup to come up and sing a song for us with us.
Thank you all for being here today. Oh, just a little tip to all the speakers who are going to speak. Get close to the microphone like this. It's like, get a little louder, right? Okay. On this day when we're all calling for the arrest of Benjamin Netanyahu, I want to sing a song about the history of Palestine. This is a song that was written by the wonderful songwriter from Seattle, Washington, Jim Page. It's just called Palestine. can. The terrible news from the Holy Land. Pictures of children etched in my brain, covered in rubble and wails of pain. Jews and Arabs lived one and the same for 1,000 years, till the Zionists came. They came like a river, came like a flood. Al-Nakba was written on the wall in blood. In Palestine, in Palestine. There's talk about the settlers from far away. Talk about the money from the USA. The blast of bombs, thousands dead, killer drone hovering overhead. What do you do when they destroy your home and say your land is not your own? Do you dare to resist? Do you stand up with a gun in your fist? In Palestine, in Palestine. They talk about peace like it's a moral obligation, but you can't have peace under occupation. They talk about talks, talks, talks to the beat of the drum. 70 years now, no justice done. Let's talk about who we endorse. Smug politicians who ride an iron horse. No wonder why it seems to be such an undemocratic version of democracy. In Palestine, in Palestine, help me out here. In Palestine, in Palestine, in Palestine. Let me tell you a story, I'll be quick as I can. The terrible news from the Holy Land. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll do that now. Yeah, I'm first doing one little thing. Is Fergus here? Where is he now? Come on up, Fergus. You're being summoned. Fergus. He's going to lead us into. Here he is. Good. Nice guy. We're going to take a moment of silence to remember, to hope, to know this is never God's will. In silence, let us be before our sisters and brothers here in Palestine and every place. Amen.
I would like to read you a poem by Caitlin Johnstone about Mohammed Bahar, who was a young Palestinian man with Down syndrome, who was mauled to death by an Israeli army dog. He called the dog Habibi, my darling, as it mauled him to death. They had never heard him speak before. He had the mind of an infant. Enough, my darling, Muhammad said to the dog, because it was killing him. And because he was in pain, and because his family had spoken to him so lovingly all his life. Those were the words he knew. That's how he was spoken to. That's what you say to someone when you need them to stop. When you need them to listen. When their behavior is challenging. But you have to deep love in your heart. Enough, my darling. Enough, my darling, as Gaza burns. Enough, my darling, enough. As attack dogs on 2 legs send attack dogs on 4 legs. To bite and maul and kill. Enough, my darling, enough. A murder of crows follows a murder of IDF soldiers. Cawing. Enough, my darling, enough. The bombed out hospitals, the children without limbs, the sniper drones playing recorded babies' cries to try and lure out civilians. The attack dog maulings, the hunger, the fear. Enough, my darlings, enough. As we kill our planet and kill each other because we cannot act kindly, we cannot love, guide us, cannot call off the dogs, cannot rescue their victims, cannot stop the attack, cannot awaken from our confusion. The stars call down upon us from above. Enough, Habibi, enough, my darling, enough, enough, enough. Thank you.
We also want to keep in our hearts Aaron Bushnell, the brave, righteous U.S. service member who self-immolated in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. in February of this year. As he burned, he cried out, "Free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine, free, free Palestine, free, free Palestine, free, free, free Palestine, free, free, free Palestine." Yeah. Okay, now we'd like to invite up Luai, who is a local Palestinian resident, and his mom, Nadia, to come with him too and say a few words.
Am I loud and clear? Excellent. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Luai. I'm a Palestinian American living in the Valley by way of the Nakba, the first genocide of Palestine. My parents were born in the ancient village of Selama, the first village depopulated by Zionist militias between 1947 through 1948. One of the Zionist soldiers in the Nakba would become Netanyahu's first political rival for the office of Prime Minister. This militant colonizer was Yitzhak Rabin. Rabin played key roles in the ethnic cleansing and occupation of Palestine. He was no friend of Palestinians, but at the end of his life, he began to change tactics and vision and was no longer a champion of eternal war, expansionism, and violence. Along with Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat, Rabin was an originator of the Oslo peace negotiations. Oslo was deeply flawed from the start, but it still provided a vision and goal that could influence how young Israelis saw Palestinians. In 1993, Rabin said words at the White House that are unimaginable coming from an Israeli leader today. He said, in excerpt from his speech, "Let me say to you, the Palestinians, we are destined to live together on the same soil, in the same land. We who have fought against you, the Palestinians, we say to you today in a loud and clear voice, enough of blood and tears, enough. We have no desire for revenge. We harbor no hatred towards you. We, like you, are people who want to build a home, to plant a tree, to love, to live side by side with you in dignity, in empathy, as human beings, as free men. We are today giving peace a chance and saying again to you, enough. Let us pray that a day will come when we all say farewell to arms. We wish to open a new chapter in the sad book of our lives together, a chapter of mutual recognition, of good neighborliness, of mutual respect, of understanding. We hope to embark on a new era in the history of the Middle East. Today, here in Washington at the White House, we will begin a new reckoning in relations between peoples, between parents tired of war, between children who will not know war. This rhetoric of peace, the influence it could have on young Israeli children listening to their leader, was unacceptable to an ambitious Netanyahu, who was by then the chairman of the Likud party and Rabin's primary political rival. Netanyahu organized an anti-peace rally in 1995 that he watched with a smile from a hotel balcony, witnessing throngs of pro-occupation Israelis swarm around Rabin's car. One member of the crowd was teenager Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is now Minister of Internal Security in Netanyahu's cabinet, a primary agitator in the current genocide and ethnic cleansing of the West Bank and Gaza. While protesters at this rally shouted "Death to Rabin," Ben-Gvir ripped the hood ornament off of Rabin's car and stated to journalists, "We got to his car, we'll get to him too." A few weeks later, that desire became fact when Rabin was shot twice in the back by an Israeli extremist at a peace rally. That extremism is now the political norm in Israel. Netanyahu became prime minister in the election that followed and has been a primary shepherd in Israel's outright descent into relentless fascism. Benjamin Netanyahu is not only the butcher of Gaza, but also the butcher of Israel's own humanity. You cannot commit genocide before you dehumanize the other. And you cannot dehumanize the other until you've lost your own humanity. Yes. The solution we have is all of us creating the right side of history. And that is to arrest Netanyahu! Arrest Netanyahu! Arrest Netanyahu! Arrest Netanyahu! Arrest Netanyahu! Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm really didn't prepare anything, but I want to tell you my own story of the Nakba because I am 76 exactly. I born January 18 of the day of the Nakba. Yeah, my family left or fled from a small town called Salama next to Jaffa, exactly just like 5 kilometers between Jaffa and Salama. The militia of Shtirin, Haganah, and Argon, they came to our village and they start killing. And the people, my family, were waiting for my mother to deliver me. They told her to hurry up because the terrorists are here. We have to go. Then, when I born, the same moment, they wrapped me with the umbilical cord, with everything, and they fled in a truck to the West Bank. In the West Bank, we went to Ramallah in Amari camp, called Amari camp. There is where I grew up for 18 years. We went to the UNRWA schools, but 2 years later, after 48, my father died of a broken heart because he had a bus company. He owned a bus company in Salama, used to operate between Jaffa and Jerusalem, and he owned a lot of lands. He was a rich man, and he found himself in a tent. My mother told us he used to sit there and cry every day until he died. And he left my mother with 8 kids. The eldest was in 6th grade, and the youngest, he was 6 months old, and now he's 70 years old. He lives in New Mexico. But my mother managed to raise us with the help of the United Nations, and she started raising chicken and pigeon and turkeys and sell to the people until my eldest sister graduated from high school, and she went to Kuwait, and she started working as a teacher and sent money to the family, and we start to get some relief from our life. In 67, I was in high school, and exactly the last year, and we lost 2 courses. We didn't really get examined with it because of the war. And I fled with my mother and with my sister to Amman in the 6 days war. In that year, I had a half a brother who used to live in Amman. We joined our brother. He rented an apartment for us in Amman, and we lived. Then I get married to my ex-husband. He's a pediatrician. In 74, he said, I want to go to be specialized in medicine. So we migrated to the state. I went back in St. Louis to Webster University and finished my BA. Then we went back to Saudi Arabia. Then we went back to Jordan. I went back to school, did my master in sociology. Then I continued to my PhD. Then I came back to the States. And the last job I had, I was a professor at NYU. So I'm from the camp to NYU. And as a Palestinian, we all really value education very much because we have to compete with other people through education. And we give our children the best education. We have 3 of them. And I want to thank you so much. I was really dreaming with this day to see America woke up and know the truth. Was a dream for me. I never even thought I will live to witness these days. I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Please keep going on. We need your support. We need your pressure on the Congress. We need everything you do. It's really great. I want to thank you. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you. I can't appreciate you enough. I was really dreaming of this day. When we came in the mid-70s, the people even didn't hear of the Arabs. Who's the Arab? Desert and camels, that's all what they knew. But now I see the difference. I see this support. Sometimes, every time I see really this like this, I just cry from happiness. I'm honored to see all of you. Thank you so much. Please keep going. We need your support as much as you can. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free
Can y'all hear me okay? Awesome. Oh, it opens my heart and breaks my heart all at the same time to be in this space with you today. I know that so many of us have been gathering with one another on Zoom, in the streets, in Washington, in Northampton, in Springfield, in Greenfield, and so many other places and spaces that you occupy and work within. And that everything feels like it's not enough right now. Everything feels like it's beyond words for me. And in thinking about what can I share with you today that will reflect back something of this moment, I found myself coming back to how difficult it is to put the realities that we're walking through and witnessing into words. And so I want to acknowledge that in this moment, we are bearing witness to things that are beyond words, that are beyond the capacity to even contemplate the scale of violence and massacre that is happening before our eyes. That in this moment, when we say grief, we can't begin to encompass the feeling in the core of our gut. That when we say rage, we're feeling so much more than rage right now. When we say sadness or mourning or empathy, our hearts are breaking again and again and again. And that we know that continuing to confront the reality, continuing to put words to the wordless, continuing to speak about the unspeakable, is the emotional labor and spiritual labor of our time. And I believe it is the only thing that will preserve our humanity in this moment. And it is imperfect, and it is not enough, and it is also everything. And I also know that being put in a position as humans to bear witness to atrocity and ongoing violence and genocide is a way that we are being separated, that when we are faced with things that have no words, when our words are taken away, when we watch the news on repeat again and again have no words, when we are pressured to stay silent, that this separates us. That to continue to confront that which we cannot even talk about completely, to continue to try to put words to the feelings that we carry that are so much more than ourselves. That this is the work of our time to stay connected. I think it's the bravest work that we can be doing right now, both to speak and to listen and to hold space for the emotional feelings that are so much bigger than we can encompass. And so today I want to thank you for your ongoing presence and the courage that it takes to continue to do this, to continue to confront these realities as realities. And someone shared a poem with me that feels like one of those brave poems that attempts to put words to the things that cannot be spoken. I don't know much about this writer yet. I don't know much about their context, and I'm excited to learn more, and I encourage you to as well. Their name is Zaina Al-Sus, and the poem is called "Bird Survives the Death of Nature." And I encourage you to take in words that resonate and to let flow, what doesn't. Knowing that this poem is not a linear poem, that it's time to let go of some of the grammatical and legal and social systems that are holding us back from speaking our truths, that this might not make a lot of sense because reality doesn't make a lot of sense right now. And sometimes to really speak our truth, we don't sound like we're making sense for a moment, and that is totally okay. Again, this is called Bird Survives the Death of Nature by Zaina Al-Sus. 1. An obstacle to reaching over there remains, sunken latency of here, where he who kills bees, kills public housing, memes innovation as meaning, translates into kill we. Soon as acceptance of an abject, the rest of us, twirling ashes, ashes to the copyright tune. Now he, watching you, watch the clock run out, bzz, bzz. Everything they teach about enlightenment leaves out prisoners or my mother. To answer your question, I refuse. 2. Trees speak a language we could learn. To learn means to acknowledge you don't know all the howls of how, all the yets to yet, all the zygote beasts of ferment, whether toward blue or transferred from yellow, all color request to collaborate. Volume matters when we let the song exert. We can ask more than take. 3. Sun Ra says this planet is doomed. What if the subaltern set the parameters of heaven? There's no such thing. An addendum to the thing, the setting of nearness between's infinite. Toussaint Louverture may attest, non-appearance filled with language, a hence of eclipse, burn being into being. Now excuse me as I address my sisters, the extinct birds. Toot 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 toot. Teacher, teacher, has too-wee, ooh, wee, 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 yet, 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 yet. 4. Before I leave, I have a demand. A poem against extinction. It begins in bellies. It begins in endings. Underneath a plume of fascismo is another atmospheric condition, all pink, ascending pitch, hatching eggs of laughter. A blaze of new sunlight repairing an archive of unseen beams, knit together in mingled breath, here we come to we. Infinite moon, wandering ice ages, cellular oceans cusping margins, welcoming invasive species of underwater birds, each song an errant language, but understanding commences in silence. Listen, next time, the flowers are naming themselves. Thank you. And one more quick note, which is just a little reminder, if you haven't called your reps yet today, we are calling them every day, asking, requesting, demanding that they call for an immediate arms embargo of Israel. Please call again. Thank you.
And now Cheryl Hogan will share a few words. Cheryl just returned from her 18th trip to Palestine, and then we'll have another song from Ben.
Hi everyone, it's good to be here and have an opportunity to express our outrage at the fact that our Congress could invite a huge war criminal to address us, to even be on our soil. So I'm glad we're here together. Can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, I need to stand like this. I don't know. Yeah. Is that okay now? Yeah. All right. So I want to thank the Leahy Fast for Justice, and I think Demilitarize Western Mass have organized today, and it just takes a couple of people to bring us together. The first thing I just want to say, I was in Palestine last month. I'm not going to tell a whole lot about that trip, but I do have a couple of messages. One is just my message: beware of the lies. And there is that famous quote, that truth is the first casualty of war. Well, we're being told a lot of lies every day by our own government and by the Israeli government and probably by every other government. Beware of the lies. Dig deep to know what really is happening. The reason Israeli is killing journalists, now 163 have been killed as of Monday. They're killing journalists because journalists try to tell the truth. And for the same reason, the United Nations UNRWA office, United Nations Relief and Works Agency, has lost over 200 of their staff in Gaza since October 7th, because they are on the ground and they are able to tell the truth. When I was in Palestine last month, I met with Issa Amro. Many of you have heard his name. He is in the city of Hebron in the south, and he established Youth Against Settlements. He's a visionary, he's an activist, he's an enormous-hearted human being. And we asked him what keeps him going, and he said, your support, your solidarity, you make us stronger. He said, we use nonviolent resistance to be part of the solution. We don't want to be part of the problem. He said, keep it up. People here are strong and stronger together with you and us. So I'm saying this because we need to know that our actions do matter, that Palestine, our friends there know that we're here. They are very appreciative of all that we are able to do. And of course, as Kaya said, it's never feeling like enough. But know that whatever we're doing, it is felt in Palestine. The only other thing I wanted to add is that what I heard there, I'm sure you've also seen echoes in the news that you get, is that it looks like the West Bank might be the next Gaza. It may look a little different, but it's going to get worse than it is now. And this will be hard for us to watch, hard to witness, that there could be even more atrocities coming to our friends. But we must remember, Palestine will not disappear. And we are going to be part of their survival. So, free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
So while Ben's coming up, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
From the river
To the sea, Palestine will be free.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much, Priscilla. Thank you all for being here. My name is Ben Grosscup. I was so inspired, so joyful and elated when I saw the uprising of the student movement this spring at college campuses around the country. This song is called Shut Down the System Now. It has a sing-along part for you, and guess what it is? Shut down the system now. So I'll sing a line and you'll sing that. Here we go. I came here for school so I could be an engineer. Shut down the system now. They want to use me as a tool, designing high-tech weapons gear. Shut down the system now. But I want to use my brains for pursuits that bring me pride. Shut down the system now. Not making fighter planes for the Gaza genocide. Shut down the system now. We're gonna shut down the system now. Shut down the system now. Raise up your fist and show you can resist them. Shut down the system now. Try that with me. Raise up your fist and show you can resist them. Hey, raise up your fist and show you can resist them. Shut down the system now. So I considered a career with a politics degree. Shut down the system now. And the professors tried to steer me to the U.S. Embassy. Shut down the system now. Where the policy is made so Uncle Sam can be on top. Shut down the system now. Even if when we invade over 1 million bodies drop. Shut down the system now. We're gonna shut down the system. Come out and shut it down. Shut down the system. Shut it down for Palestine. Raise up your fist and show you can resist them. Shut down the system now. So I gave it one more try and took a full course in PR. Shut down the system now. And I learned a reason why life in school is so bizarre. Shut down the system now. When students won't be swayed by standard Zionist cliches. Shut down the system now. There comes a Hasbara brigade to set their young careers ablaze. Shut down the system now. We're gonna shut down the system. Come out and shut it down. Shut down the system. Shut it down for Palestine. Raise up your fist and show you can resist them. Shut down the system now. As my disenchantment grew with my university. Shut down the system now. I realized it was true. I am much more than my degree. Shut down the system now. For I've learned to stand up for the oppressed in my own right. Shut down the system now. Standing in the way of war in the campus square each night. Shut down the system now. We're gonna shut down the system now. Shut down the system now. Raise up your fist. Raise up your fist and show you can resist them. Shut down the system now. Acapella. Shut down the system now. We're gonna shut down the system now. Raise up your fist and show you can resist them. Shut down the system. Shut down the system. Shut down the system now. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. So we just have 2 more people who are going to have a few words to say, and then we're going to take a little march. So wait for your directions. We have Jen from Demilitarize, who's going to say a few words, and then we have Nick.
You guys are a beautiful crowd. Thank you for being here. It's a real consolation to be here since we're not in Washington. Professor Anthony Zenkis, a professor at Columbia University School of Social Work, tweeted a few days ago about the legacy of one of the butchers of Gaza. Every limb blown off a child in Gaza, every mother or father run over by an Israeli tank while scrambling to an aid truck, every child that dies starving for food, every journalist slaughtered for documenting these crimes, and every one of the 355 bullets fired into the car where 6-year-old Hind Rajab cowered, desperately waiting for help to arrive. All of them have Joe Biden's name on them. This will be his legacy. The blood, the burnt flesh, the houses crushed by bombs. This is what will be left of him when he is gone. A hot, smoldering pile of smoking rubble where once stood a city and a people. And all the sickness and starvation that is to come in Palestine, every last breath taken by a person he's never met, whose only crime was being born in an occupied land whose occupiers were propped up by US dollars, all of this will bear Joe Biden's name. This is his genocide. The man who had the power to stop it all with one phone call but chose never to pick up that phone. The man being praised by pundits and politicians alike for walking away from a job he never should have had. All of this, all the misery and human suffering, will forever be remembered as the parting gift to the world of a mediocre man with darkness in his soul, who, when he finally achieved the power of an office he had chased his entire life, chose to use that power to rain down fire on a people who he refused to see, whose humanity he never acknowledged, and whose future he would not allow. Quickly, last week we all know that the International Court of Justice finally ruled that rather than requiring the Palestinian people to continue to plead and negotiate and submit to their oppressor must end the occupation. The ICJ, rejecting all Israeli, US, and Western objections, ruled that the Israeli occupation of Gaza and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem and all settlements, is entirely unlawful, and declared that Israel is committing racial segregation and apartheid in the occupied territories. The ICJ ruled that the Oslo agreements do not and cannot trump the obligations of international law, which protect the rights of the Palestinian people. The ICJ ruled that Israel must dismantle all settlements and the apartheid wall in the West Bank. Evacuate all settlers. Provide full reparations to Palestinian victims and the right of return to all displaced Palestinians. The ICJ proclaimed that all states and organizations must end any aid or assistance to the occupation and must take action to ensure that Israel complies and ends the occupation. This is an historic decision codifying what has long been known in the international legal community, but giving further support to the struggle for Palestinian liberation and providing another stepping stone in the path toward ending apartheid, colonialism, and genocide in Palestine. All decisions by the ICJ had overwhelming support across the court. As Craig McIver, a UN Human Rights Commission official who resigned in protest over UN inaction over the genocide in Gaza back in late October, said, "The ICJ opinion on Palestine will force heretofore timid UN officials, agencies, and spokespersons to align their positions in public and private with the court's findings. No more silence on apartheid. No more silence on right of return, reparations, Jerusalem, and the primacy of international law above Oslo, and other convenient dodges. Today, the ICJ has finally put an end to the ruse of Oslo, declaring once and for all that the rights of the Palestinian people rest firmly on international law and cannot be erased by negotiations between occupier and occupied, oppressor and oppressed, colonizer and colonized. Free Palestine! Ceasefire is only the beginning. Make Israel Palestine again.
And lastly, Nick is going to speak for one moment. He's a co-founder of the Leahy Fast for Palestine and a member of Demilitarized Western Mass. And here he is.
It's very inspiring at this very dark moment in this country to see so many of you out here and willing to take a witness for what needs to be said. And there's a sign down here that says, "Do something." We're in a very grave spiritual moment right now, where we're all having things clarified for us, where we're all open to what we are inspired to do. And the purpose of that sign is to say, each person here, we hope, will open their mind to the idea that they might have an inspiration, encourage people to act together to do anything and everything that can be thought of to put a stop to this killing. So we are organizers of this event. Every one of you is an organizer open to the inspiration. Be open to inspiration, because that's the time we're in. I'm honored to read a statement by Rashida Tlaib, the only Palestinian member of the so-called United States Congress. And in 1 hour's time, this war criminal, who's depicted here, Netanyahu, will be speaking before the U.S. Congress. It's a moment that I never thought I would see. I'm 85 years old. I never thought that this government would sink to the depths of inviting a person of this character and with so much blood on his hands to be honored in front of this country. This is what Rashida Tlaib wrote. She put this out yesterday. Netanyahu is a war criminal committing genocide against the Palestinian people. It is utterly disgraceful that leaders from both parties have invited him to address Congress. He should be arrested and sent to the International Criminal Court. Since 1948, which we heard about, the U.S. has provided more than $141 billion in weapons to the Israeli government to fund the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians, including $17.9 billion since October. We've come to take these figures as normal, but if we had $17 billion on pallets out here, it would cover all the way across the street. We have to understand, I'm editorializing here, we have to understand that these big figures conceal huge amounts of suffering. One person being killed. Life is so precious to be taken, oh, it's only 40,000 people. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it's not so bad as that. That's the world we're living in right now. And we have to check our own feelings about what we're being told so that we don't accept things that are totally unacceptable. Yet my colleagues in the Biden administration continue to approve more funding and send more weapons, even as innocent children like Hind Rajab are targeted with 355 bullets, shot in the head by Israeli snipers, burned to death in their tents with U.S.-made weapons, bombed while playing at school, deliberately starved to death, and the Palestinians are bombed in refugee camps and discovered in mass graves, naked and with their hands tied. All live streamed for the world to see. These are undeniably war crimes under international law. Make no mistake, this event in Congress is a celebration of the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. It is a sad day for our democracy, when our colleagues will smile for a photo op with a man who is actually committing genocide. It is hypocritical to claim to be concerned about the massive death toll of innocent civilians and then turn around and welcome the person responsible for these war crimes to our capital. Their silence is betrayal, and history will remember them accordingly. Our government must stop supporting and funding this genocide now. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not one of those liars, but I did tell a lie. We have one more speaker. And Ishmael, our friend, Palestinian friend from Franklin County, is going to say a few words, and then we are going to march.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here, for showing up. Thank you. Each one of you is a hero here in this hard and difficult time. Not just Netanyahu, he's a war criminal. All the Israeli government, the European government, the American government, they are part of it. We are in a time it's never ever happened in the whole human history. People, children, women, animals, everything, move or not move, buildings, hospitals, university, houses, street, water, electric, sewage system. If you want to divide the land in Gaza, each human being, it's get 2 feet. The thing, it's not just Gaza. We are here not just for Gaza. We are here because all of us, we are a human being. And we should stand for justice for everyone on earth.